Time for another board game review, and this time we have the game Escape Room in a Box Flashback. This was sent to me by the Wild Optimists and is designed by Juliana Marino Patel and Ariel Rubin. You are in grave danger. My old friend is quickly approaching and you are her intended victims. You must look to the past and solve the riddle of her plunge into madness. In this box are the elements you need, but work quickly. You only have 90 minutes to complete all 3 paths and build the precious amulet that will save your lives. I wish you luck in your endeavor. You will need it. And so this is an escape room style game. It has, like it says, 3 paths and a 90-minute time limit. I'm not going to show you the puzzles because obviously that's the whole point of purchasing it. However, I will just sort of describe the basic format and my thoughts on it. If you're watching this, don't worry, I won't show any puzzles because that would just kind of ruin the game. When you open it, you have these containers with locks on them. And these are actual working locks, so you need to find the combinations for them. You also have these envelopes. Each one is from a different path. One is from the desk of Dr. Lisa David. One is from Doc Naw's secret evil lab. Lithia's top secret stuff. There are 3 different paths. The game also comes with 3 bags. I won't describe what was in these. They're empty right now, but they were full of things. As well as a hints book and an answer book. So how the game is formatted is each path has its own type of challenge. The blue path features puzzles involving the written word. The red one involves science, it's centered on science, and this one is focused on childhood. And you have to go through all 3 paths to build the amulet. Now, how they're formatted is they're essentially like letters, like almost like a Mad Lib, where the answers are blanks within the message. And they're always 9 letters or less, and you have to write them in the spaces. The hint book lets you use, I believe, 3 hints. If you use it more than 3 times, you lose. Otherwise, 90 minutes to play. Pencils and scrap paper. This is all on here, by the way, on the rules. Pencils and scrap paper are recommended. You also need a freezer, or at least ice water. It tells you this here. A flashlight as well. Now, it says here, you can never, guess a lock combo or spin dials until a lock opens. You have to solve everything, otherwise you're cheating, which makes sense. Otherwise, why are you even playing an escape room? And then the 3 different colored paths, once you beat all of them, they all then interact in the final construction at the end. And it says you can do 3 games in 1 replayable. I think that's debatable on that claim. And also says you can work on the paths simultaneously, at least 2 people per path. I would advise against that. I'll get into that in a second. So that's the format of the game. Again, I can't really show you the puzzles because that would spoil stuff, but let me talk about my feelings on it. Now, I don't want to be too harsh on this game, but I'm just gonna get down to it. This game is way too easy. If this were marketed towards children, then I would say actually this would be a great game for kids, because I think the puzzles are fine. They're clever, but they are like children level. But the way it's marketed, again, it says 13 and up on the packaging. It's got like this, even the back is like, oh, you're in grave danger. This doesn't scream to me like kids game. Like, especially with the flashback, that to me thinks of like, oh, like retro, like, oh, it's targeted kind of towards like adults, like, that kind of thing. Or at least like older teens or teens. This design doesn't scream kids game, but this is a kids game. It is like Highlights magazine in there. Now the game says you can do the 3 paths simultaneously. I think that would be a huge mistake. This took me and one other person less than an hour to do all 3 paths and the final stuff. So if you do all 3 paths at once, I think you could finish this at less than 30 minutes. Maybe 25 minutes? I don't know. It's extremely easy. Having all the puzzle answers be kind of these fill-in-the-blank words in these sentences was kind of disappointing, because if you just think about it, you can basically figure out what the words are supposed to be for a lot of them just by reading the sentence. I don't like that. I like in escape rooms and escape room games where you have to solve something to get an answer. And I know that, you know, that's not the point. You're supposed to solve the puzzles, but it does feel a little lackluster when, for some of the puzzles, you're like, okay, we know the word, we've done half the puzzle, we know what the word's going to be, but we have to solve the rest of the puzzle to let it play out. That's just disappointing. I don't want to know these things. It also makes it that a lot of the puzzles are very samey because it has to always spell out a word. Now, there are no puzzles in this that were particularly impressive, which is a pretty huge blow, because if an escape room game has at least one really good puzzle, I will usually let it slide. I'll usually be pretty forgiving. But instead, a lot of them were just painfully easy, as in you look at it and instantly go, okay, it's like a children's riddle. Like, some of them are, without going into too much detail, are just literally children's riddles. Some of them are also just kind of clumsy logically. Like, I felt like looking at, oh, I guess that's the answer, but I think this isn't the clearest way to convey it. And again, I'm not exaggerating when I'm telling you the general vibe of this game is like puzzles you would find in a children's magazine. The game also says it's replayable. I don't think it is. I mean, yeah, you can reprint everything, I guess. That doesn't count as replayable. Sure, if I take a board game and literally reprint all the pages and all the little things, then yes, I guess it's replayable. But it's not replayable like on its own. Like, you're writing on stuff, you're doing things, that doesn't count. I think that's very misleading. I also don't know why you would want to replay this at all. So, if you are a grown adult looking for a good escape, even if you're a teen or older, looking for a good escape room game, don't get this. I would highly recommend Exit the Game. That's like the gold standard for me. I reviewed one back in episode 62. Those are brilliant puzzles, really fun. Even like the easiest, I've played some easy ones, and even then I'm like, okay, but at least it's like way more challenging than this. If you get this like for like a group of adults or a group of teens for like an event or a party, it'd be extremely underwhelming. If you are, however, a parent looking for a fun escape room puzzle game to play with your kids, then I would recommend this, because I think kid me would have really loved this. You know, the game is also very cutesy, despite its packaging and the back. Like, it's written like it's like a kid's book. It feels like the target audience was kids, but then they were like, oh, but let's package it in a way that will trick adults into buying it. If you're a kid, this will be a great experience. I think it's like my friend described it as like, it's like almost like a fun educational puzzle game. But if you are an adult without children, stay away. I think the packaging and the 13+ label on this is extremely misleading. It is going to be very easy and very, very underwhelming.